Now at this point, there are going to be several things in this presentation of notes and my demos with WordPress that we've already covered, which I think is fine. It'll just be more review for you guys. And most of the stuff we're going to cover in here is fairly basic as well. So as part of these notes, we are going to do the following. We're going to review plugins a little bit, talk about, and not necessarily in this order. I think we're going to do that after we cover the media. Talk about how a plugin can do a variety of different things for you in the WordPress platform, and how a plugin that you download could be a widget, but with any WordPress theme you get, you have these standard widgets. So we'll get into that widgets versus plugin thing. We're going to upload media in WordPress today. We're going to make that pretty simple and show you how easy it is to start getting graphics of the three main types that we learned about in the web workshop: PNG, JPEG, GIF, right into your site. There is an upload limit that we'll discuss as we're going through that. Page layouts, creating pages, placing pages into a menu, setting up a menu. So this is really important here, because part of the test is going to involve you making a simple menu. Okay, so, and it's going to be one of the shorter parts of my lecture. It's actually quite easy to do. It's not difficult, but you want to make sure that you're paying attention to it. And then allocating your posts. Even if you use posts, you sometimes might want that blog roll page to be in a different part of your site. You don't always want it to be the main page. So that'll be review as well, because we did cover that last week, and most of you have already changed that. So just to start where I want to start here, I have XAMPP running. Okay, I already went in. I made sure XAMPP was running, so that's usually my next slide. Okay, start XAMPP, make sure all your servers are running, go to pages. Okay, we should have had a page that we made at the end last time. Make sure everything's ready to go here. You're going to add formatting to the page using the control bar, text tab, two ways. So one of the things we're going to do as we start here is just review the sort of, not the dashboard necessarily, but just the part of the dashboard that is your workspace for a page as we're putting in media, because that's how we're going to start today. Okay, so when I jump over here, you guys may have more in here. I noticed a bunch of students have been working ahead a little bit. You might have the sample page there, and that's all you have, and you maybe have tried to make a post. Making a page versus making a post, they're both very similar. We're going to try each when we're putting in media today, so that way you've done both. So pages will be under the pages menu option in the side of the dashboard there, where you have all those menu items. Okay, go to pages, go to add new, and we're going to make a new page. And leave the ones that are in there. We're going to make a couple pages so that near the end we have enough to deal with in terms of a menu. We want to try and build a menu up. So now you guys can be doing whatever you want. This is just for demonstration. I had started off with the theme that we have, making this site about a place to go kiteboarding, places to go kiteboarding, sorry. So this is going to be like a page in my site where I'm selling my used gear. So I'm going to make the title gear or used equipment or something like that. And then I'm going to start to add content to the page. So as I keep explaining to you guys, when I do things in front of you and I'm demonstrating stuff, this is not meant to demonstrate to you how much content you should have in each page. We'll get to that more after the test. For right now, I'm just showing you how to use WordPress. But if you were to launch a site with the amount of content that I use in my demos, where I go, check this out, it's for sale, and then put a picture in, that is not acceptable. You want to have a big long description that describes the item at length. I'm actually selling stuff on eBay right now. I could probably borrow one. So even this might not be long enough. Okay, here's a bunch of my stuff on eBay, because I tend to transfer gear and pick up new gear from different manufacturers each year. I'm switching back to one that I prefer. So I'm selling this stuff, which was also very good stuff. But here's a short description. Here's some additional information about the kite itself. So let's say I actually was to bother to go and type that out, because you're going to have to make most of this from raw. Like that's not good because I'm pasting into. A way to avoid that, if you're ever copying and pasting stuff and you don't want the formatting to come in, throwing it into your text editor is a good way to get rid of that. I mean, in Microsoft apps, you can right-click and avoid taking the formatting over, but to my knowledge, I don't think you can really do that in the WordPress dashboard. So you bring that in there, you got the text in there. Now we've got like a fair amount of text. I'm going to take out that thing that used to be a link, and I'm going to put a picture of it. So the purpose of making this page is not just to show you an example of making another page, but to put a picture of it. Okay, and as I'm doing this, I did remind you of a few things in the notes here. When you're looking at the page, we're going to go to a place, anywhere, in a page or a post, and wherever your cursor is sitting, you can just insert media. It's that simple. Okay, you don't have to code it. WordPress will do it for you. But as you're doing this, make sure you're paying attention to where you are. So when you're in the page and post WYSIWYG sort of view, you might by accident have switched over to text, and you might be in the text view, and until you actually put some code in there, or you put content in there that would have code, you might not notice it. Okay? One of the telling things to remind you that you might be in text view is if you've installed the plugin TinyMCE, which is that plugin that allows you to do a bunch of this editing to a page or a post. You have that additional menu added in there. You won't see that when you're on the text side. So this is like the web workshop. This is WYSIWYG. So in WYSIWYG is where you want to insert media, because why would you manually put it into folders and then code it in there? That doesn't make any sense. So just below here, I'm going to insert a photograph of the kite that I'm trying to sell. So I click right from here, from the page or post, because it works the same way with either, add media. Okay, and I grab a picture of the kite by uploading it. So I had already done this earlier today, so I'm going to quickly jump over to I'm going to publish this. Quickly jump over to my media library and clear it out so you guys can see me do this from scratch, because I don't want to have, I want every section to get the same thing. So I click on all these, delete permanently, apply, they're gone. Okay, so back to the page I was editing. So I've published it, which I shouldn't have done, by the way. If you're in the middle of editing a page, don't click publish, okay? Maybe go over here, and now it's already published, so it's kind of hard to, well, you can still draft your changes. But I'm going to go down here, I'm going to put the cursor there, I'm going to go add media, and at this point I don't have any media in my site. Now I could go directly to the media menu item and upload it one by one or a bunch at once from there. Or you can just one-off, put this into your pages and posts one at a time by going to the add media button and uploading files. So this is like attaching a picture to an email. Like, it's that simple. If you guys are having trouble with what I'm showing you here, you need to come in for office hours, okay? Because this is not a big deal. So I go to add media, I click a button, I go to the folder where I know my pictures are. I have some of the stuff that I'm selling here. I grab a picture of the kite, I click open, and assuming the file is not too big for the limit I have for uploads here, it puts it in there, and then I can do alternative text and a description, which I encourage you guys to do every time you put a graphic in. That way you don't have to go back and do it later. So just to give you kind of a quick and dirty on this, the alternative text should at least be enough to tell people what's in the picture, but you don't want to go overboard there because search engines will only look at so much. So the alternative text here should be 5-meter Ocean Rodeo Storm 2013 for sale. Something. You don't have to get too specific, right? Under the description, you could be like Mike's Kite Forum item for sale. Okay, 5-meter Ocean Rodeo Storm 2013. Okay, hardly used. Okay, like new. Like, you see what I'm doing here, right? And there's a limit to what you should put in here, and they change all the time. And again, after the test, we're going to kind of look into some of these. You guys can Google it anytime you want. There's specific limits for how long you should make meta descriptions. Okay, and it's usually about 155 characters. And if you want to watch that, now I would never just cut yourself off, because a lot of search engines do read everything. They just don't count it for ranking. But there are plugins that will actually count characters for you within the dashboard. There's plugins for everything. So I've added an alternative text and description, and then down here, this is really cool. So what WordPress will do for you, you know how I made a big deal in the web workshop out of how I'm letting you guys do it, but really you shouldn't be taking a giant photograph that's like 5 by 4,000 pixels and just downsizing it to 500 by 400 and putting it into an HTML page, because the browser is technically still loading the full-size graphic. WordPress takes the full-size graphic and then automatically, to scale, makes you different sizes. Thumbnail, medium, large, full size, without you having to do it. So that's not to say you won't have to go into Photoshop and do a little bit of editing here and there, but You don't have to in this case. So I'm going to post the medium one, and I'm going to click insert into page, and that's it. I'm done. I just added media. So JPEG, PNG, or GIF, that's how you would do that. And then if you were to navigate to your folder, so I'm going to manually go now into the C drive, okay, XAMPP. Where am I going now? Where's the root directory for my website? htdocs, very good. WordPress. Now, where do you think, if you had to guess, I mean, knowing about what we know about themes and where it puts stuff, where do you think the graphic would be that I just uploaded, that picture? Which folder in here? I'm in my root directory. Which folder? Just guess. Content. That's a good guess. Now, we don't want to lose our graphics every time we switch themes. So they're probably not going to be in the theme folder, right? Considering we just uploaded the picture, which folder do you think it would be in? I'm going to make it nice and big for you. So we just uploaded the picture. Which folder should it be in? Probably the one called Uploads, yes. You get the Genius Award back there. Okay, so I know you guys know the answers to this. You're just not participating. So I go into Uploads. I have an upload one specific to that that map plugin that we installed last week, and then I got WordPress will organize for you the uploads into folders like this according to year and then month. So 2015 October, there's my uploads. Okay, now that's something I'm going to show you in a minute. Why the heck are there 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 versions of it when I only uploaded one? Jeff.
Is that because of different browsers?
Well, yeah. Well, no. Yeah. Well, not exactly. It's yes, but it's not like text or font. Like whatever picture you use is going to open in any browser. Why is there a bunch of them? Yes.
Because it needed different sizes for you.
The sizing, yeah, the sizing, which technically ties into your answer too, but the sizing. So I see all these sizes here. When I go, let's update that. Okay. When I go here to media, I'm only going to see the one picture. It simplifies it for you. And this is the detailed format. This is the grid format. You can do either or. So let's go back to the notes and see what's been going on here. So what we just did was we went into the media gallery to see what we put in there, but we uploaded this from a page or post. You can do either or. You can upload from the media gallery or from a page or post. So you can have videos in there, you can have images, recordings, any kind of files you could attach to, you could put on a website as a link, can be in the media gallery. It could be a PDF or a Word file. Media is typically uploaded and inserted into the content when you're writing it. So most people don't go to the media library and put it all in there at once. You can, but if you have like a big pile of photos to put in there at once, sometimes you're better off using FTP. It's just so one of the things I've learned recently, if you don't upload it through the media library, it doesn't put it into the database, right? Which is kind of annoying. So ideally, it'd be nice to have it in the database. You could still do all the same stuff to a piece of media that's in your root directory. It just won't be in the database, so it'll be harder to dig up. Ideally, you want to upload everything through the WordPress dashboard. Okay, that's the best. Then it becomes part of your database. So the media library screen allows you to edit, view, delete media previously uploaded. Multiple media objects can be selected, so you can delete them all at once, like I just did a minute ago. Okay, remember when I got rid of the stuff I did in my first session, and I bulk edited and then just deleted. So let's keep going here. So the table of media contains the following columns. So there's a check column where you can check it off, so you can edit it, delete it, you can do bulk actions to it. There's a little thumbnail that you can actually see. So it's not really a heading for that, it's just sitting there. There's the file, and it'll show you the actual name, and then where it was uploaded to, and the date. So it's pretty informative. So if you don't have it in grid view, if you have it here with the details, you see the file name, you can delete it, you can use the checkbox, you see the thumbnail, it tells you where it went to, it tells you the date it went up. This is pretty cool. So you can filter by these characteristics. You can filter by this data. So as soon as I start adding more, it will appear here. So let's go back. Let's do it the other way around, okay? Let's add new from the media library. And you guys can try this out with whatever content you're doing. From here, I'm going to select a file. And this is going to be a different kite that I'm selling. Or let's say it's a board. So here I've got this old liquid force board with these foot straps, okay? I'm going to put that in there. And when I put it in, it's going to ask me, oh no, it didn't actually. Yeah, because I'm not on a page or a post. It didn't ask me for that information relative to like the keywords and the description and stuff, which you can change each time you put like a version of that picture in there. It's nice though if you put it in, because the keywords and description will stay there then for the next time you use the same picture. But here's that graphic. Now, one of the things I'm going to point out to you, and you can't really change this until after it's in the media library, this is the name of the file that I used to upload that. In addition to the alternative keywords and the description field, that's another place where you can build in quality keyword content. Can't be super long, but it could be like 2008, so people know the year, liquid force concept. And if I want to put for sale, I could maybe do that just so people can connect back to the site and see if they want to buy it. When I do that and hit enter, I've created a new name for it, okay? Now the permalink is actually not associated with that name. When you open it up, it just shows you what this looks like in the site, and it would be on just a blank page where you can leave comments. I don't really like that either, so I can go into the permalink. And why can't I edit that from here? I can typically edit the permalink without an issue. That actually might be because I just uploaded it from the, there's the file URL. Huh, weird. Update. Permalink. Yeah, typically I can edit the permalink, but it's sort of not letting me do that right now, which is a bit weird. I'm going to come back to that in a second, the permalink thing. So what we did here was hey, why didn't it change the name? We uploaded directly to the library instead of uploading to a page or post, and then I'm going to show you how to put it into a page or post. Update. Okay. There, that's better. So now the name has some quality keyword content as well. If I go back to that same page I was already working on, and I go down below my last item, and I enter this as a liquid force board, and then I have a nice description for it there, which I'm not going to do right in the context of the video here, and I go add media, I don't have to upload. It'll take me to whatever I have in the library first. I can just add it from there, and once again, I can choose the appropriate size. I can put in alternative text, which I'm not going to get all into now, and just insert in the post. So there's two different ways you can go about this, right? And you will run into situations where you're going to put the same thing into a page or a post that you've already put in there. You wouldn't upload it again. You just use it from your media library. Okay, so let's jump back into the notes and look at what's happened. So we reviewed the kind of anatomy of the media layout, and that's only if it's not in grid format. So if it's in list format, it'll show you all those details. Okay, we have gone and added media. Okay, we didn't do it at our home page, we made a new page, but it doesn't matter. It's just for the sake of the example. Okay, so you can easily embed all different types of stuff. We just have been doing JPEG so far. So you could do images, audio, video, various types of documents. Okay, so we're going to try a different type of thing in a second. Okay, and this was done. How did we do this? We just placed our cursor. So I'm kind of going through these notes kind of flipped, right? I showed you what to do, and now I'm just showing you what we did. So you place your cursor, you put it in the spot where you want it, and then you go in there and you embed the content. And this was done in WYSIWYG view, okay, in the visual view, not the text view. You can also place your cursor on a blank line. It'll put it on the blank line. And you can do lots of stuff afterwards to edit the alignment and where it was placed and other different characteristics of the graphic. So once you place your cursor, you go to the Add Media button, you either upload or choose from the library, it's done. So that's what we did. So it talks about the difference between uploading files and choosing from the library. And once you upload something, it will always be available in the library to you. Okay? So the attachment details come with, like, this is what happens when you put this in there. So the attachment details displays a small preview or icon as well as the information such as the file name, date uploaded, all that stuff. And then you can get into the title, the caption, the alternative text. You can also adjust the alignment, and there's different places where you can get into these things. So I'll show you that quickly too. So with this in there, with the page active, if I click on the graphic, I can actually adjust the alignment right here with this quick shortcut button, this little shortcut menu that comes up with the picture. I can also click on the edit symbol from there, and I can click on the size and change it. I can click on the alignment from there. I can add a caption. The advanced options, which I have opened up, probably by default they'd be closed on yours. We're not going to get into this kind of stuff unless it's connected to some plugins, and there's other reasons you might use that. For right now, the main stuff we need to deal with would be the sizing and things like that. Okay, that's about the max of what you can do from the actual page or post. Now, if instead you go into the media library, and from the media library you go and edit, for example, this brings up a page with some more options. Okay, and now see, yeah, what the heck, I just don't think it had registered yet. I think because I hadn't left the media library and got back in, I couldn't change this yet because I just literally uploaded. So typically once it's in the library and you've saved it as part of the library, you should be able to go out and come back in again, and you can change that hyperlink too, that permalink directly to that photo. So what I would suggest doing, if you put in the proper keywords, you can also then change the link to be properly allocated with those keywords. And then you click OK. So you can edit the permalink, which is the direct location of that graphic within your root directory. You can actually, here, view attachment page, which would be just a summary page. Oh, see, now it still hasn't refreshed yet. You know why I did that? Because I edited the permalink and then I went to view attachment, but I hadn't updated it yet, right? So you gotta, don't get too ahead of yourself. I'm actually glad that stuff's happening to me here in the video so I can show you. So I have these new keywords in there, put them in for the permalink, click OK, update, right? Now that it's updated, if I go and view attachment page, it works. Okay, so you can't, that's a good example of something that you might run into when you're in the middle of working on something in WordPress and you're going to go, oh my God, something's wrong with my WordPress, I'm going to tell Mike. Okay, so slow down. Maybe you just didn't, because that button will still function. It's just functioning based on the old name, which you've already changed. So because you hadn't updated the page yet, the thing as a whole didn't know how to talk to itself, right? If that makes any sense. It just didn't know that that was the new link yet. Why is this not saving? That's weird. Let's try this one more time. Let's try and get it to save. So click OK, click OK, update. Okay, now back to the media library. Click on it again. There. Now it's changed. View attachment page. Good. So the attachment page doesn't really give you the same kind of details that you get in the list view in the media library, but it'll just show you what the picture is going to look like. Okay, but you do have all those details there. And in addition, when I went to edit on that one, in addition to editing like the title and the page, you can see all those changes have stuck now. I just don't think I was saving and updating in the right order. Just don't try and go to places in the middle of working on something, because WordPress doesn't always give you that warning, are you sure you want to leave the page, which it clearly didn't give me that last time. So the picture's in there. I can add a caption and then that would come up every time by default. The same with the alternative text and stuff in here. I can also go down here and edit. So this isn't just editing the image details from the media library. This is actually editing the image itself. And to scale, you can change the size of the image inside of WordPress. So it's an image editor too for you. You can't do much else. I bet though you could get a plugin that allows you to edit images inside of WordPress so you don't have to keep taking them out. But yeah, so there's lots of stuff you can do here, and that's where the notes continue to go with it. So we've seen that all these details are there. I showed you how you can get into all these different changes you can make. Okay, you could do the custom URL, which I just did. It shows you the attachment page. So if you want to link just directly to a picture, you would use that link and then link to it in your WordPress site. Okay, and I talked about the different sizes. So very, very user-friendly, guys. Overall, everything's just super user-friendly. So once you have these settings down, let's go and try and throw it in a post. We've already done a page. Let's do it in a post. Once you do that, the details are there. There are lots of options for modifying, which I just showed you. Okay. And then again, like I showed you, even after it's in, you can click on the little pencil and do stuff to it from the post that you wouldn't really expect to be able to do. Now we'll use a post now, or the page, same thing. So we'll go to post, and for post I'm going to deliberately use an example that's too large to upload. So in this post, which I already set up, that says the waves are coming, okay, this particular file is too large to upload from the media library, and I'm going to show you how to get around this. Ideally though, you know, there will be video files and there will be media files and stuff. You can still easily get them into your WordPress site and link directly to them. Okay, it's not a big deal. But ideally, what you want to avoid is having files that are that big, because they really shouldn't be that big anyway. If you have large video files, those should be on YouTube. If you have a bunch of sound media type files, those should be MP3s, and they really shouldn't be over 2 megs. Now, 2 meg is the limit here using XAMPP. I think with most hosts, it's actually 8 megs, 8 megabytes. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it's enough, right? If I go here and I go to like a sample song here, so I haven't transferred all my music to this new laptop yet. This is a full song. It's 2 minutes and 50 seconds long. It's probably pretty high quality MP3. It's one of the Microsoft sample songs. It's 3.92 megabytes. So if you're working with your standard kind of 8 megabyte limit with a host, you're not going to have trouble uploading that. If you are, I'll show you how to get around that. So in this particular post, we're going to put a picture, and I want to go and add new add media right here, just like I did in a page. And the thing I want isn't there, so I'm going to go upload, and I'm going to try and find the file. And I know it's in this folder here on my desktop. It's one of these pictures of me kiting in the waves from a few weeks ago. So I'm going to click open, and it doesn't work. It's too big. Okay? So instead, I'm then going to use FTP, and I'm going to manually put it somewhere in my root directory. And you don't have to put it into uploads, the date, the month. You can actually make a different place so it somewhat identifies that this was an upload that you put in there that didn't get put into the database. It's just in your root directory. So if you have a domain and you have a place where you can upload files to the web, you're going to be able to do this. So, and I'm just going to do this so I can show you further examples of how to mess with the media. So I'm going to go in to my folder, and I'm going to pretend at this point that I've already taught you how to use FTP technology, and you would be going to GoDaddy or whoever your host is and uploading it directly to a folder there. So no, it's not part of your database, but it can still be part of your directory. So just to keep things organized, I'm going to go to the precise WordPress site, because if you have a full HTML folder with a remote host, you could put it at your main domain but still not have it in a subdomain. I would always put it in the folder that's associated directly with the domain for that website, because you may end up doing a bunch of these and having multiple domains. So let's say technically I'm into GoDaddy, I'm ready to FTP this thing in here. I'm going to go into content and I'm going to go into uploads, but I'm not going to put it in there. Okay? I'm actually going to put this into an upload folder called oversized. So it identifies that these were things I had to upload manually. And then using FTP technology, which I will demo later in the course because we're still working locally here, I'm going to take that picture from that folder, okay, which is right, look at my desktop, this is ridiculous. 2 weeks ago it didn't look like that at all. So there's a nice picture of me riding the waves. Okay, this was whenever it was, whatever, I could talk about the picture when I get in there. I go back to the folder, get out of here. Right here, oversize, and I paste it in there. Now what the heck, right? Now I got the picture in there, what do I do? Like what I go to, so I'll update this post. I go to media and nothing's going to be there, okay, because I did not upload it as part of the database. I insisted that I need to use this massive picture that came out of an SLR camera, just in case somebody wants the full resolution version or something. So I'm insisting, you know, this is an awesome poster of Mike Sloan kiteboarding. You could print it up to 8 by 10 feet. That's how high resolution it is. I don't know if the resolution's high enough, but I don't see it in my media library. How am I going to add this to my post? So this is quite simple, right? In your post, you're going to, the post you were editing, you're still going to go add media. Okay, you're going to go here, add media. except it's not directly in the database, so I'm going to go from URL. And from URL, I'm going to draw, this is the web workshop knowledge coming back to you. How the heck would I know how to draw the direct file path to that file? Well, it's easy. The same way you knew how to create a link in the web workshop to an image file in your images folder in my personal portfolio that would work in index, which wasn't in the images folder. You drew the folder path. So because here we have a hosted database site, we want to have the whole thing, like the HTTP address, the whole deal. So it's going to be localhost WordPress. We know that for sure. And then where does it go? Well, it goes localhost WordPress, so you don't have to put XAMPP htdocs. It's not, don't put that. You want the hosted address, so it would still work on my computer too, right? So then you get into here. We know it's going to automatically be at this level. This is like our domain name. This is like grandbendontario.com. I send people a lot of files. That's one of my main domains. And I give them the files at grandbendontario.com/picturesfromshow.zip. And then they can just download it, and I don't have to email them something that's like a gig, right? I hate emailing crap like that. It's just too big. It's annoying. So I upload it to my server, and then they can get it a lot faster too. So I'm into the root directory. Technically, let's say this is my domain, grandbendontario.com. If I was to put a file up there for somebody, okay, grandbendontario.com/the file, and give them that link, that would give them that file. It's at my domain. So locally, because we're using XAMPP, my domain is localhost/WordPress, not something .com or .ca. And wherever I put this, which is in WP content, oversized, in uploads, oversized, it will be there. So the path is literally just that. WP-content, uploads, oversized, and then the file name. This, I know this probably is going to seem like it's complicated to you because you haven't done a lot of this, but it isn't. It's just drawing the file path that you literally see here in Windows, starting with the domain level. So the domain level is /WordPress, blah, 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 blah. Okay, and I'll show you an example of this in a second online. So when I go back to here, I'm going to go localhost /WordPress. Why? Because that's technically my .com or .whatever domain. And then I go WP-content /uploads /oversized / the name of the file, .jpg, which hopefully if you put a file in there like that manually, because you're not going to be able to deal with this stuff in WordPress, you will change the name, and you really should be doing this. When you're uploading files, you know how I keep talking about it, how it's important to have the proper keywords associated with those files in the name? You should do that ahead of time. So right now, this is a crappy name, right? So I'm going to preemptively say Sloan, kiteboarding, Grand Bend, and I can even say 2015. I can provide the actual month and time and stuff like that later. So this right here, this name, and I know this is a JPEG. Okay, if I click on that and take that name so I don't have to type it out again. Okay, I'm going to go back to here. That is the final piece of the extension with .jpeg. Okay, so when I look, see? Okay, and you can still do alternative text. Okay, and a caption I don't need to do. But Sloan, kiteboarding, Grand Bend, blah, 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 insert into post, done. Okay, so that's not small or bigger. It's resizing automatically because the div is forcing it to get smaller. If I go to text, you can see what it's done. Okay, it's actually loaded in the full-size picture. So if I leave that like that, knowing that WordPress will resize it for me, it will take a bit longer to load up some big stupid file like that, but then people could download it in that size. Or I could even do something like this, right? Let me make that a bit bigger for you. So that's this is in text view. So switch back to Web Workshop sort of raw text view because it did an image class thing here, okay? Image class, well, it automatically classified, you remember classes from the Web Workshop. It automatically gave it a class, and then it had the source, alternative text, okay? 500 by, I don't know, 375 or something. Okay, go back to visual. Now it's automatically resized, so now it's that small. So if somebody were to right click and save picture as, it would probably give them that version. So which means you could go down here and say download full-size graphic for awesome poster of Mike Sloan right here. Okay, and then you'd provide a hyperlink. So now I'm going to actually show you how to do a hyperlink, which is just going to be to an image, but it's still, this is how simply you can create this stuff in WordPress. Take the hyperlink, okay, take that same URL. So if you want to go back and borrow it, go to text, get this same URL. Okay, so that will just load up just that picture in the browser within the context of this theme. And then they can just right click and download that picture and it'll be full size, okay? Okay, so that's how easily you can set up a hyperlink. And when you're doing it, sorry, not like that. What am I doing? You don't just paste it in there. You go in here, you put that in for the URL, you say full size photo for the link text. Same kind of stuff you learned in the web workshop, and open as a separate window if you want. Add link, it's right there, full size photo, okay? And if you were to link to a URL off somebody else's website to, what do we call that, an absolute link, like the Fanshawe College link, like my school, highlight the text, that'll automatically be the link text if you've typed it out ahead of time. And you put the Fanshawe website in here. Okay, I think that one needs that. Okay, now if I update this and view the post, okay, this was a post about how it gets bigger in the fall and blah, blah, blah. Again, I would write a lot more than I'm doing just for these examples. And below it, for some reason, I made a link to Fanshawe. That's right there. So it's that simple, okay? And hyperlinks are something we haven't really talked that much about. It's something I cover quickly before the test because it's just so mindlessly easy to do hyperlinks. I might update the notes to mention that we cover hyperlinks in here. I think I will do that. But yeah, so it's, guys, it's not, none of this stuff is tough, especially if you've done the web workshop. It's just a matter of exploring the dashboard and getting in there and trying things out. Okay, so if we continue to explore, putting that in that was oversized, excuse me, that was oversized into a post, let's go back and look at the difference here between what we had in our used equipment page that we put in right through WordPress, which went into the database. So, and we can go to text view from here. Okay, so this still has, you know, a source code, but this is actually set up automatically as a hyperlink. By default, every time you put something in from the media library from WordPress, it links itself to that file. So if somebody clicks on it, it goes there. You can very easily change that link, okay, and then it goes in and pulls the file out right here, okay? So it gives you the local host, it gives you the alt, and the width and the height, all right? So what it doesn't do is provide you the description, which is a bit weird because I know I put descriptions in for those, did I not? Alternative text caption, the description in the media library, but that's really only relative to if somebody finds just the picture. And you can add the description into the HTML as well if you want to. By adding after alt, you would put meta, I forget what it is. I never have to do that stuff manually. But if you go to the media library, you will see when you click in to look at these that they still have the description in there. That's still part of your optimization, even though you don't see it in the code. Okay, search engines will find that. When you download the optimization plugins, they'll tell you to make sure that's filled in, all that sort of stuff. Okay, so I think I'm focusing on a really easy concept and probably putting too much into it. Are you guys comfortable just adding these elements to your site? So we've done images. Oh, that was the last thing. So and this isn't the hyperlink. This is where I end up covering hyperlinks usually. So in here, let's say, it's still a hyperlink, sorry, but it's not per se a link to another page in your site or a page elsewhere on somebody else's site. These are showing images, okay? And like I said, if you click on these, they already have a hyperlink automatically. If you click on this, you can change it to go to like the Ocean Rodeo website or something. It doesn't have to direct people right back to the picture. So by default, it does that just to show you it can be linked. If you were going to the Ocean Rodeo website, you could go right here and make it like that, Okay, you could link to an existing piece of content like a page or something. WordPress actually lets you search through your content to find it. Like if I wanted to find that page about the Bayfield Pier, I'd type in Bayfield, and whoa, I went a little too fast there. And it would show me that, and then I could choose that as my link. So, or you can make a hyperlink like I showed you the one to Fanshawe College. You type in my school, you highlight the text. You can always add the link text later too. And you put in the URL, you have it open up as a new window if it's an absolute link. You can also put into the media library files like PDF files or an Excel file or a Word file and link to that as part of your content in a page. So you don't have to always pick from the library. You'll have stuff that's in there. Select files if you don't have it in there. Go and pick the file that describes the kite or whatever it may be. So I'm going to use where am I here? I'm going to use this PDF right here. Okay, you can give that a description. That doesn't have alternative keywords associated with it, but it does still have a description field, which again is part of your optimization, and you don't just want to leave that blank. And you insert in the page, and you've got a link to a PDF. So it's any type of file that can be linked to in a website, which is pretty much any file the browser or your computer will read, can just be stuck in the media library and linked to that quickly and that easily. Okay. And remember, as you're doing this, whatever you're doing, when you go to text view, it will show you the code of what you just created. Okay, so there, right underneath it, would be the specs on the board, the detailed specifications from the manufacturer or whatever. And I've linked that to this PDF file. Now, obviously, I'm just using random examples here. These aren't real examples, but you guys get the picture, I think. So there was a PDF. So now at this point, we've linked to all those different types of files, and that's where we left off, I think, was here. I was going to say I will embed different types of stuff eventually. And by default, if you put audio video in there, it will use the default player in the browser to show it to the user, unless you get a plugin that can set up like a media player in your website to play songs and have information in there about them. There's lots of plugins like that as well. Okay, so we were past that, and we left off here. So the reason I left off here was to show you that if you end up linking to a file like I did in that post, like pulling up a file that's not part of the database, okay, if I go back to visual, when I sit over it and click on it, I actually still have the options to edit some of this stuff, even though it's not part of the database, because this is all associated with how the code will affect that image. What I can't do if it's not part of the database is I can't go into the library and give it a description. So that's why I prefer that you guys avoid this, because it's just not good for optimization. Regardless, I still wanted to show you what to do if you ran into a situation where it was just too big. Now technically, if you insist on using that and it's just too big, you should have a program on your computer like Photoshop or GIMP, which is free, G-I-M-P, GIMP, that will resize graphics for you very easily. It's very easy to follow along with simple things in Photoshop. And it will not screw up your resolution. It will do it to scale, and it will look perfectly fine. And you can compress the files a little bit for web use in both of these programs. And then when you go back, it won't be so big that you can't use the dashboard to upload it. Okay? So that was my little presentation on media. Now we got to keep going. And you could see that you could still edit stuff. It just, you can't go in and give it that description. You don't have as much access to it if it's not part of the database. Okay? So we've done this now. We've added images. Okay, align images around text. That's the one part we didn't do yet. So when you go and then save, update, insert audio, we talked about that. And then we're going to do a YouTube video next. So if, for example, I want this text to be next to it, you try these different types of alignments, and it shows you, it'll put the text, see that? So it's putting it in line in with text instead of just standalone, which is the last option there. And sometimes that looks a little slicker if you have it in the middle of like a blog posting that looks kind of like an article. You'd want it to be in line in your text. So these different options, I mean, if you hover over them, they tell you what they are, just like if you're in Excel and you're working, you don't know what something is. So it tells you align left, align center, right, align right, and then you can go into the text and see how it's changed the code, because in the code it should have, see, It's a class, so they've set up a class. So it's not going to be based on HTML alignment rules. It's actually a CSS class, which you could then, if you didn't like the way the align right class was set up in this theme, you could actually go into the theme and change like the padding or the sizing on the alignment itself, which is, again, stuff we're going to do after the test. So, and I don't go that far on the test. I pretty much just ask you to put in a graphic. It's not very difficult. Okay. So there was that, and then, and I'm going to add another page to do this. Let's do one on instructional videos for putting up kites or something like that, or some kind of directions. And the videos don't have to pertain to it per se. I just need this to be an example. So, and we'll call it instruction, and it's going to be a page with some YouTube videos. So there'll be a nice big explanation here. I should get one of those lorem ipsum things, which you're not allowed to use in your project. And then I'm going to put a video. I'm going to start with one, and then I'm going to show you the different ways to embed and why you might use the other way. So WordPress by default, if you just take a video link and just stick it in here, in visual or text, if you take the share link, it will automatically load in the video and embed it. But you will not be able to control the size of it. It will just be relative to the size of the space or the div that you're putting it into in your WordPress site. So if I'm on, let's go here. Let's go to YouTube and find something, and you guys can try this too. You can get any video you want. As long as the user that's uploaded the video has allowed you to share or embed, you're going to have the option to do that. All right, so setting up, wow, I'm getting a little bit of a network issue here. Setting up, this is really slow. Kiteboarding, kite. Okay, so here's a video on setting up your kite. I'm not going to go with the 12-minute one, although I don't know the 2-minute one is long enough. 3 years ago, that kite looks a lot older than 3 years, whatever. But maybe he was just using an older kite. So first place to look is share. Now, if you upload your own videos, and that's what I would do. If you have heavy video content, use YouTube as your host, right? Don't jam that into your WordPress site. It's just going to slow things down. If it's more of a corporate thing, set up a Vimeo account and use that. But YouTube and Vimeo are really the only two sources I would say are good for hosting videos, because it streams very easily. They have the system all locked up, like everything just works on everybody's phone all the time. So whether you put it up or somebody else put it up, let's pretend it's one of yours. You set up a YouTube account, which is very easy to do. You just need a Gmail, and you just connect it to YouTube and start uploading immediately. There's not any kind of like initiation or sort of application phase. You just get it. So I have this in here. Here's a share link. So under share, you have share, embed, and email. Share and embed might not be available. Maybe even email. It depends on the settings that the user has put on this video. Share is available here. So I'm going to go here and just paste that exact link right in there. And it took a split second. You saw, and it saw it was a YouTube link, and bam, it just embedded it for you. So you don't technically have to even use the embed code. Now, if you, per se, want to manually size the embedment, okay, which is not the way this is set up, and you can click here, and you can sort of, there's not much you can do to it, really. All you can do is change the link. So I'm going to pull that out. And instead, I'm going to go back to the same exact video and see if they've allowed me to embed, and they have. And I'm going to take that code, okay? Now this time, if I just drop it into visual view, nothing happens, because this is a code, okay? It's not just a link. So this, if I take into text view and put it underneath my little description, when I go back to visual, it doesn't preview it for me, but it is going to work. So if I update this, publish it, and then go and view. And again, I keep publishing everything. When you're making something for the first time, if you're not ready to put it online live, you should be drafting it. View page. Okay, it's there. It's filling up the space. It's there. So, and this is a neat thing too. I keep forgetting to show you. Most themes, almost any theme, will allow you to edit if you're logged in right from the page and take you right back to the page edit window in the dashboard. Okay, so I want to go right back and mess around with it, because I'm actually going to put 3 of these in there, and I'm probably only going to want the thing to be about like maybe 250 wide, because people can maximize them as soon as they start playing them. 250 wide by like 175 high. Okay, I'm just ballparking it. So it's about that big. And if I go down here, I'm actually going to put these into a table, which I'm going to use my tiny MCE tool to make. I'm going to just make it 3 columns across, and I'm going to have 3 different instructional videos for kiting in here. So I can do this in the text view because I'm comfortable with this stuff from the web workshop. I take this code, which is it's an iframe code. You guys haven't had to deal with this, but as long as you grab it from one chevron to the next, you should be fine. Take it in here. There's where the table cell starts and stops. Put it in there. Let's go grab another one. Okay. I also like this one right here, and it doesn't matter what you do. This is just for example's sakes. Don't go to the share link. Go to embed. Okay, grab the code, go here, put that in the next table cell. Make it the same exact size, which is 250 by 125. Okay, and then we'll go do one more. I'm just going to put the same one in there just for the sake of not wasting time here. So I'll put the same one in there, and then I'd resize that one to be the size I want again. Okay, and if I go back to visual, I'm going to see a table now set up with those 3 things equally sized inside the table. So there are going to be situations where you're not just going to want to take the share link and just throw it in a page. You're going to want to actually allow or be allowed to resize it, and in that case you would use the embed code. Okay, so 2 different ways to do it. So update it. We'll take a look at what we just made there, and you should see something. Now I have my resolution all blown up for you guys, but you should see something like this. So this one still looks a little bit different. I don't know what's going on there. So you would go and look at the 3 codes and see what's different about that one compared to the other 3. So it's an iframe. It's in a TD. Opens, closes. I don't know, actually. I'm not really sure what the deal is with that. It's totally a different size. That would be the deal. It's 175. So thank you. And I got that really small too. You guys are really looking. So that's the deal. And then if I update it and I go and view it, you'll see a nice clean looking little table of 3 videos, right? And when you play one, it doesn't mean you're stuck with that size. You can just maximize it then. And when you go back, you're back on the screen. I mean, everybody knows how to use YouTube. So that's another really simple way to embed media. And if you go to your media library, guys, it's not going to be part of the media library when you embed media from YouTube, because this will be hopefully hosted in your own YouTube account, which you know what? Hey, that's just another place to optimize, okay, your content. Just another place for keywords and stuff. So none of those are in here. There's still media in your site. They just don't become part of your library, excuse me. All right, but in that YouTube video, if you upload it yourself, you have the opportunity to put tags in there that are associated with the keywords that describe the content in that video, plus a description, a big long one. Okay, moving on. So we just did some YouTube. Okay, so inserting audio, video, documents, and WordPress, and we did cover that slide before. Yep. Update, yeah, we've definitely done that. So let's go and see what's going on here. So before then, I got into the whole menu thing. I did want to bring up widgets one more time, because I don't think at the end of my week 5 lecture I really get into what they're actually doing and the difference between a widget that comes with a theme versus a plugin that you actually downloaded that could be considered to be a widget. Okay, so WordPress widgets primarily are functionality. They add some sort of content or feature to your sidebars, to your footer. They're adding functionality to a theme. And because we're going to switch around menus as well, I want to switch themes now. I think the theme we have been using, the Luna theme up to this point, which we started using a couple lectures ago, is not probably ideal for this. So if you go to Appearance Themes, I think the 2014 theme would actually be good, which I've deleted mine. If you deleted your 2014 theme, just go here and do what I'm doing. Add new. Most of you probably still have yours in there. Okay, so the WordPress 2014 theme should come up. There it is, 2014. Okay, I'm going to throw this back in there. This is a good one just to kind of watch your menus and stuff. If you're using a Mac and you haven't done the proper fixes from week 5 to be allowed to do a plugin or a theme, you'll need to refer to the notes in week 5 in FOL that will show you how to do that. I'm going to activate that theme, so now I've got this new theme running. Okay, so in general, this theme is going to have all the same content, but it's going to look a little different than the other one. I've got some stuff up in the menu. We'll deal with that in a second, but along the side here and in the footer, if I wanted to put some stuff, I can put what are called widgets. So this search functionality, that search box, which will go through all your pages, all your posts, that's a widget in WordPress, okay? The fact that you can put recent comments in the sidebar so that anybody that's commented on your article, the recent ones will be in there, that's considered a widget. And some of this is up for adjustment too. I mean, if you go in to settings and you go to discussion, okay, it tells you how many comments you can have, how many deep comment, automatically close comments after 14 days. Anyone can post a comment. So under discussion, there's a bunch of settings you can have for comments. And then in terms of changing how many show in the recent comments, that usually comes with each theme, but a lot of themes allow you to adjust that as well. So under appearance, widgets, and again, if you have a custom theme or something you've paid for, a lot of times it might be somewhere else. You might be able to deal with the widgets in Customize, but most standard free themes, if you go in here, the widgets will be set up like this. So you have a content sidebar, a primary sidebar, and a footer area. Right now, 2 of these areas have nothing in them. Moving your widgets around and changing widgets, excuse me, is this simple. Let's say I don't actually want to use comments because I'm not even going to allow them because I'm setting up some site for some different thing. And I can just take that, drag it back out to where all this stuff is, and just let go of it. Done. And where I say in my notes that you have to remember to save when you're done making these changes, you actually don't have to save anymore. The changes are just automatic. So here in my notes, WordPress widgets, move them around, do this and that. They can be added, removed, rearranged. You can change the order. It's all done by dragging and dropping. It's literally that simple. Okay, so here's how you go in there. You'll see the sidebar here. We have the footer and another sidebar to deal with. Okay, make sure you click save. This is only in older versions of WordPress, so you don't have to even do this anymore. All right. Okay, so back to these widget things. I see the archives. Okay, so it's archiving my articles. Really, I want that in the footer. So go down here, drop it in the footer, and search recent post categories. That's good for the sidebar. But I might, I'm going out kiteboarding like every few. I'm not doing that right now. I wish I was, but let's say I want to set up a calendar somewhere, so I can put that in the other sidebar, and then I can start to add information to it. So kiting, calendar. Okay, and then let's say by chance that I'd installed a plugin that had widget functionality. It typically should be here in the widget section. So this is where I want to make sure you understand this definition. So listen to me carefully here. Widgets in general with a WordPress site are just as we just described them, okay? These things in the WordPress site that will add features or content or something to your sidebar. And every WordPress theme comes with a bunch of widgets. They're your standard like categories, tags, archives, the search box automatically. But then you can get plugins, and plugins do all sorts of different stuff. Some plugins will change the way you can edit pages or posts in your WordPress dashboard, like the Tiny MCE plugin, that when we go to a post like this, we have all these options up here. Well, I'm on text, remember, so I don't see them. Go to visual. That comes from this plugin that I installed called Tiny MCE. It doesn't have its own menu. You can only find it here in settings. They're all different, right? That's what's kind of annoying about this. That's why I don't spend too much time teaching plugins. There are plugins that will run photo sliders across the top of a page. There are plugins that will give you the local weather in a little box format, and those are probably plugins that could also be considered to be used as widgets, right? So widgets are these things that you put in the sidebar, other sidebar, footer, wherever, that add functionality, okay? And okay, that's got that calendar in there or something. If I did a map thing in here, I could put that down in the footer. And then plugins in general will not always be widgets. That's what I need you guys to understand. Custom widgets you would download from plugins. A plugin is pretty much anything that's off board, you know, from a WordPress theme that's been added on to add functionality to the theme, but it might not be in the front end, meaning that the end user might not see it. And then there's plugins like a weather widget that are definitely on the front end and can be used as widgets in your WordPress theme. Are there any questions about this? And just like I said from the beginning of this course, it's always good to understand the terminology, especially when you're getting started. Okay, now these actually you do have to save these. So this requires a save because you're supposed to use this to make another map marker thing. But if you just add, and that requires a save, if you're just pulling in things that you don't have to save the whole widget area in general. You have to pay attention to save the things that you change in terms of the actual widgets. Okay, so moving on now to the next slide. So that was widgets. Here, you know what? Here, I'll clarify this right now because that's not entirely accurate. So, but you did. I think you did have to save your widget area before. Individual widgets. Okay. That's a little more accurate. Okay, so installing widgets, well, every theme comes with all the basic widgets and they're already running. Okay, a lot of WordPress themes do have extra stuff that they will come with that has widget functionality, and you might have to go and activate that to get it working. Usually there's little messages in the theme that'll tell you to do that. If you've downloaded a plugin that can be used as a widget, which we've already done in a previous section, and we're going to grab one more today. Let's go plugins. Okay, let's do. I keep talking about these weather widgets. Let's see if Ontario weather brings anything up. But I got to go to add new. That's only going to search the ones I have. Ontario weather. Or you could actually search weather widget, and then you're going to know you're going to get something with widget functionality, right? So if I search weather widget, always look for ones with a lot of reviews and a lot of installs. There aren't too many of them. Looks like back to the top, this is going to be one of the more popular ones. So I'm going to try this one. Install. That's how fast all this stuff is, right? Activate. I'm going to watch my menus when I activate it. I didn't see anything pop up in my menus, so it's probably going to be in widgets. If I go here, if it's activated to view details, it usually will explain to me where it goes. Users can do this. They can set their location, yada yada. The weather widget can either stay in your footer or it can be a mini weather widget in sidebars. Okay, so they recommend it in the footer. So without a doubt, if I go to appearance widgets, it's probably going to be a listed widget now. Yep, there it is. So how did I know it was in there? Well, because just by that, for the reasons it exists, it's probably going to end up in widgets, right? You never know where these plugins are going to go, and that's why you read the descriptions. So I'm going to use the mini widget, and I'm going to put it in the sidebar. So I'm going to pull it back up. Just don't let go of it yet. Okay, so let's put this in content sidebar under the calendar. And then I'm going to put my location in. Let's see if it gets Grand Bend. That's a pretty small location. I don't want Celsius. I want Fahrenheit because I can change the background color. I don't want to deal with that right now. Just save it. Let's go and check it out and see if it worked. Okay. So there's that calendar. Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah. That's what those fields were for. So that's no doubt what's happening in Grand Bend right now. But and if I click on it, oh cool, Lambton Shores. That's pretty cool. Okay, so it's a weather. Oh, that's pretty neat actually. Wow, it's a weather widget where it's sort of a little less. That engages the user a little bit. They got to click on it to actually see what's going on. Okay. All right. So now, at the current point, and we're going to change a few more things, and then we're going to be done. So displaying widgets, we just went through all this stuff. Now again, I'm kind of flipped how I presented these notes. I showed it to you, and now I'm showing you what we did. So those are the steps we just went through. Go to Appearance Widgets, move them around, take them in and out. Make sure if you change the widget itself, you save it. We just tried that out, okay? You will have to do that on the test. So these are the default widgets that you usually see. And all you got to do is drag and drop them. So if I asked you to move some things around on the test, it should not be a big deal to you guys, okay? Text widgets are one of the most common WordPress widgets, so the things that are just purely text-based, and they come with most of the themes. Okay, so you could go in there and add a text widget and actually add whatever you want in HTML, like texted code, just like you did in the web workshop. So I'll show you an example of that as well. So if I wanted something up at the top here that wasn't a pre-designed widget, like above my kiting calendar, I could actually use a text widget to do that. So if I go to widgets and I just choose text and I put it right above the calendar and then I click on it, I can call this testing the text widget. Yo, yo, yo. You can actually put code in there, so I can make my name bold. If I properly put the HTML code in there, then close it. See why it's good to know a little bit of code? Okay, save that. I can set it to automatically add paragraph breaks or not. If I go back here, check it out. Okay, and it is bolded, by the way. You can see it's kind of hard to tell on the screen there, but it is bolded. Excuse me. So widgets are great. You can just throw things wherever you want in the sidebar, in the footer, and the other sidebars. You can do all sorts of stuff with them. Now, let's get past widgets finally here. Okay, this I probably had most of you already do last week, and this is somewhat, it's a very simple step. It's a very simple thing to understand how to do in WordPress, but you need to know, because every time you get a WordPress theme, every time you start WordPress, by default, the main page or the front page will be your blog posts. So right now, I only have a couple blog posts, so it shows a summary. It's your blog roll is what it is. Okay, so if I go here and I go to settings and I go to reading, that's where this is adjusted. Now I've already changed this, but by default what typically happens is, okay, this is set to nothing and this is set to your latest posts. And you can decide here how much of that you want to show, full text or summary, okay? And I don't want to discourage search engine from indexing the sites. I want that. So I'm going to save changes, and this is how you get a theme most of the time. Okay, so this is so people make this home page and they put it on the menu and they're like, why isn't this my home page? This is like the standard little thing in WordPress that a lot of people switch unless they're actually running a dedicated blog. They go to reading, they make it from your latest post to, okay, home. And then you still have then the functionality of a blog floating around out there to be allocated to another page. So what you would then do is make like a blank page and just make that your post page, okay? So if I change used equipment to my post page now, it would show my post instead of the gear that's on it. So you need to make sure you make a page that allocates that, okay? So you can still reallocate the post to another page, but that's a big deal to know how to do that. So ideally, I'm going to save those changes and I'm going to go to Pages. Okay, and in Pages, I'm actually going to make a new page and I'm going to call it Blog. Okay, and in the page, I'm going to go, hey, 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 just to see if we still see it there. So you're going to have some content in the page and I'm going to publish it. And it's called Blog. And when I go to Settings Reading, okay, these are the simple things that you won't forget. Once you do this a couple times, now I have blog as an option. So I'm not going to switch it yet. First I'm going to go to the site, and blog was added to the menu automatically. It says, hey, 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 blog. As soon as I go into the dashboard and I go to reading again, sorry, I'm having trouble seeing today, and I switch that to blog, and then I go back and I look at it. Okay, you don't see hey, hey, hey there anymore. It pretty much overrides whatever. So you make a blank page and you make that your blog roll. Okay? Which is not, there's other ways to do it too. You don't necessarily have to make the blank page, but by making the blank page, then it's part of your menu. Okay, you can put anything you want in a menu though. It doesn't have to be a page in your site. So let's move on to that, because that was the last important thing I wanted to cover today. So we'll get into blogging and categories and tags after the test. I have covered that a little bit in a previous lecture, but that's how you change that stuff around. And you will, once again, have to do something like that on the test. So once this is all done, okay, you could see that you can do this under Customize. You can do this in the menus, yada, yada, yada. I'm going to, so now I'm on, wait, 20. Is this the same exact slide twice? That's pretty weird. Okay, so then I finally get to this slide right here, okay? Although any page is added to your top menu bar by default, you have much more control by setting up your own menu. So this can be done in the menus section in Appearance. Let's take a look and try and set up a menu. We will develop this more in our next lecture after the test, but on the test you will have to do some menu stuff, okay? And it's not complicated. So this is the final slide sort of before the test, all right? And obviously I have two slides here that are identical, so I'll get rid of one of those. So next class after the test, technically, okay, more on blogging, more on menus, categories and tags. I swear I put all this in, tons more stuff. Okay, so in WordPress, let's go and finish this up now. You could see that every time I added one of these pages, it just was automatically stuck up there in the menu. And if I switch themes, it would still be set up the same way wherever they put the menu. By default, okay, you have this default menu where pages are just added to it, and that's your menu in most themes. Okay, if you go to menus, and there was one thing actually in this lecture that I kind of breezed over. I'll get to that at the end because we will talk about it in the next lecture. You don't even see a menu here. Well, how can it be running a menu if I haven't even created one? Well, because by default, most of the time, it's just running this menu where it automatically adds pages in the order that you make them to the menu bar, which is not convenient. Nobody ever really wants it in that exact order. Sometimes you don't want stuff set up that way. You want things as drop downs and other menu items. So one of the first things you do if it isn't already set up, because you might get some themes and it might be set up like this. This is a standard WordPress theme and it isn't. So you may have to deal or encounter something like this on the test. You're going to create a menu. You're going to call it menu. You're going to call it main. You're going to call it menu 1. I'm just going to call this one main. As soon as I create it, it allows me to set this as the primary menu. Okay, I can also set it as a secondary menu in the sidebar. These options might not be available if you're in a different theme. This is the thing about WordPress that gets annoying. You think you learn it all, and then you switch themes and everything's different. But as long as you get the basic gist of how the dashboard works, usually you'll have the option to make it a top primary menu. And I don't want it to keep adding pages to the menu automatically. And then I'm going to save the menu. And because I set this to be my top menu, when I go here now, that is now the menu, which means it's blank because I just created a brand new menu and didn't put any pages in it. So once you make this menu, it overrides the default menu, which is the annoying menu that just puts things in whatever order. You take these items, you can take all the pages you have, you can add them to the menu, okay? You can go into posts and add individual posts to a menu. You can actually go into your posts and go to categories. Okay, hang on. This is kind of cool, and a lot of people don't even know you can do this, but anything you want on a menu, you can just link to it. So if I go to categories, and there's category here, Lake Huron. I think there was another category I added as well. So if I'm in here, the easiest way to get to it actually is if you're on your page, these are my categories. If I click on Lake Huron as a category, this is the URL to go to all the posts that have to do with Lake Huron. You can actually add that into your menu as a main menu item because it doesn't have to be just pages in your site. It can also be posts, which can be added, or custom links. So I know that's the URL, put it in there, call it Lake Huron, add to menu. I've got a category in itself added as a menu item. So what you can do in your blog, which is your main blog role, you can list the categories as child links. And that would be a pretty sensible place to start using drop downs. And drop downs, they are easy as that. Did you see how I did that? Oh, this menu's all out of order. I want the home page first. Fine, go put it first. Usually nowadays your logo in the corner or the top is linked to the home page anyway. But I put the home page first. This is a page that shouldn't still have that name, but I'm going to put that second. My blog's in the middle. Instructions at the end. You just drag them and drop them and move them around. Lake Huron I had set up as a main menu item, and then I decided I wanted that to be a drop down from blog, and I wanted used equipment to be a drop down because it's specific to used equipment in Lake Huron. So I just keep pulling them over. It's very, very intuitive. I can't really teach this as much as I can say go in, create a menu, just start playing around with it. Once you save it, what you see here, as long as you have that checked as the primary menu, should then be the menu that you have here. And see how I made that drop down? And Lake Huron had its own drop down, which is kind of going off the screen here because of my resolution, which is a drop over in this case, okay? And that's not the most user-friendly drop down setup, but that'll differ from theme to theme. And that's how you set up and customize a menu, which is one of the most important things you're going to do when you first start your website, because you want to build your skeleton for all the pages that you plan to put all of your content into ahead of time. Remember I talked about how you got to plan that out ahead of time? So that's menus, and then we're finally at the end of our week 6 notes. And again, we did some theoretical stuff in week 6 for the first session, so this was the only WordPress video you're going to have this week. But at that point, if you can do everything in all the videos up to here, you're ready for the test. Now, having said that, we're still going to go through a comprehensive review next week, and I'll walk you through all the steps, and you guys will be good to go, okay? So that's it for today, and these are the things we'll cover after the test, all right? If you need help, come see me in the front. Otherwise, I'll see you next week. Okay, now I just want to throw in at the end here, one of my students just came up to me and showed me that in the most recent version of WordPress, which we're all using, when you go into Customize now, and this is regardless of whether or not your theme would have had this before, you can customize the menus from Customize, okay? So if you expand this out, that's the menu we currently have set up, and you can drag and drop, and you can click to add items from here, and it'll pull up the available items. So this is seemingly more user-friendly than going to menus right from appearance, I think. So I just thought I'd throw that in there at the end. And yeah, so that's just another way to do it. As usual, there's more than one way to do it. Cool. I'll see you guys next week.